grew up in Iowa in a small town, and I was raised by my father. We lived with my grandparents until I was a teenager. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents is very, very, very close to me in my life, and I think that's something that children nowadays unfortunately don't have very much of, is that unique, almost mentorship of people from generations different than you. I was definitely the different one, just from my name being Lucia, where I grew up, and that's not a common name anywhere, let alone in small town Iowa. And I always loved fashion and art and music, and I can remember when I was a little girl thinking that I was Madonna's only fan in the whole world, because nobody in my town really, dressed like her, acted like her, and yet I did. And I also remember when I was very young just wanting to leave and move to the city, and that was my whole goal. Ever since I was a young woman, I was 12 and 13 years old writing in my journal about wanting to open my own clothing store. And then I did. I left, 2 weeks after I graduated high school, and haven't moved back since. I was very much given the permission to be who I am. My family never stifled me by any means. They did a good job of helping me develop thick skin. I was the youngest and the only woman in my group of cousins, no siblings, and raised by a single father in Iowa in the 80s. And single parents didn't really exist in the 80s, let alone single fathers. How it defined who I am, I'm not really sure, because I don't know who I would have been if I would have had a typical family, so to speak. It definitely let me know that you could be whoever you want. My father, and the way that he raised me as a single parent, it's like, oh yeah, of course I can turn my house into a costume shop. Who's going to tell me no? For all of my whole life, I've been naming the name of my clothing store, because back in the day it used to be a clothing store, and then it was evolved into, I'm going to have a wedding dress company. And then it was like, no, I'm going to do a costume shop. And then I was writing in my journal one night, and it was a late night journal entry. And the next morning when I woke up, I was standing at the sink doing my dishes, and I remembered it, Kintimit Costumes. And I didn't have to go back and look at my journal entry to see what I was thinking. And that's when I said, that's going to be the name of my company. So that would have been 8 years ago. When I decided that I was going to turn the house into the costume shop, it was July 4th. I printed up a whole bunch of Word document flyers and got together 30 of my closest friends and put them in 30 of the costumes that I had, and we marched in the July 4th parade for Northside 4th of July parade, and handed out these flyers and said, Kintimit Costumes coming soon. And then from that point on, I made a list of what I wanted every room in the house to look like, and I started, and I thought it was going to take 3 years was my initial goal, and it took me 5. First time that I really thought, I want to do a costume shop instead of wedding dresses, it was a Halloween, and I was making costumes for all my friends, as I have done ever since I was super young. And a friend of mine was like, oh my gosh, how much money do you want for this costume? I had made her a Mother Nature costume. And I was like, money? Oh, wait. So the way that it goes is like, when I'm open, pretty much every Friday night there's a party at the shop. Saturday there's 2 parties, and Sunday there's 2 parties. And usually they're baby showers or kids' birthday parties, bachelorette parties, like I said. And then the other open shop hours, so like your Monday through Thursday hours that you're open, you're making costumes, working on costumes, getting prepped for those parties, being here available for rentals, depending upon the time of year. Like right now we're looking at Christmas, so everyone would be coming to me for ugly sweater parties. When it comes to me designing something for someone, I work up to their budget. I am a firm believer that everybody deserves a chance to have a really great costume, no matter who they are or where their pocketbook sits. So if somebody comes to me, if they're like, hey, I want to be a rock and roller for Halloween and I have $20, well, I'm going to send you out of here with the best $20 costume ever. Oscar and Dad, they're here every inch of the way, and Oscar, I think he's sacrificed a lot of normal time that kids might get with their mothers to be here next to me running this company. I feel like sometimes, even though he's not physically running the sewing machine with me, although he's very good at sewing, he is picking up the kitchen for me, and he is taking care of himself for me. And that means a lot. You know, so he helps make the costumes, even if he's not sitting right there doing it. I want to be a nationwide franchise. I want to be bigger than Build-A-Bear. I mean, Kintimit Costumes throws the best parties that you'll ever go to. They're so memorable. We sell an experience that's unlike anything else. Having a party at the shop or us bringing a party to your event space is a one-of-a-kind experience. There's nothing like a Kintimit party. And when you rent the shop and you get to have your event inside a costume shop, it's just wild. It's unbelievable, and it's, you know, unmatched to anything else. Recently, Newport on the Levee had this thing where they were like pop-up shops for no rent for tenants for the holidays. And I started to really daydream about putting this into the old Hollister. It would be a wonderful destination, especially of people going to the movies there as a date. They can come into the costume shop, try on masks, try on wigs, have a blast, take photos. However, I applied, I didn't get it for this holiday season. That's fine. I'm gonna go down and like Oscar said, we just need to print a big Kintimit coming soon and go put it on the building that we want. Because I have a few people who I know who have the working capital to make a dream of this scale happen. I want to approach them with a very specific business plan, being like, let's do this, are you interested? And then if let's say I approach 6 different people that I know on a personal level, and I say, you want to do this, and all 6 of them say no, and then, you know, I'll approach Cincinnati Magazine or City Beat and say, will you put an article in the paper for me? Let's write an article about this, and let's call it, you know, Desperately Seeking Shark Tank. You know, write an article and put it out there and say, hey, this woman has got this $1 million idea and she's looking for you. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to apply to Shark Tank. And if that doesn't work, then hey, I own a costume shop anyways. Because at the end of the day, that's all that I really wanted to do. And I have. So we'll just see what happens next.